9 Plus Us presents the Baseball Together podcast with your hosts, Blackjack Brad and Kansas City Little Big Briggy Blue Eyes. And now, Baseball Together.
Welcome to this week's episode of the Baseball Together podcast, Baseball Family. I'm Brad, and we're going to try this again. I'm flying solo this week. We will see how it goes. This week we have a lot to talk about. It's going to be crazy coming up. It's been pretty crazy in the past week, but we got the season coming up. We're going to talk about that and do our weekly KBO update. And then I'm going to give you 3 things that I'm looking forward to this MLB season. So here we go. Like I said, season's starting. Fantastic. I could not be more excited. We've been waiting for this forever. I mean, spring training stopped in March. It was about a week or two after we were down here visiting on vacation. Wilson and I went to a few games. Awesome. We got down here just in time because, as my dad says, the fecal matter hit the whirling device and everything was shut down. There was no more baseball, no more sports, period, and there hasn't really been since. So the regular season is starting this week. Fantastic. 2 games on Thursday. We got the Yankees at the Nationals, got the Giants at the Dodgers, and then everybody else opens up on Friday, the very next day. It's going to be awesome. Major League Baseball decided to go with home stadiums for the season. There are a few things going on there. We'll talk about that in just a minute. But so your hometown team is in town. They're there. They've been training. They've been training at their home stadiums for a little while now. So, I don't know, you might see him around town. Who's to say? But anyways, no fans as of right now. I do think they're probably going to see what they can do with getting fans into the stadium on a limited basis later in the season, like maybe into September. I don't know if it's going to work. They've been talking about it in Korea for a while, the KBO, and it has not happened yet. So they haven't been able to get fans in the stadiums yet. But from things that I've been reading, it looks like when they do try to, it's going to be maybe about 20%, I believe was the number I saw. 20% capacity with loads of social distancing. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see if they do give it a whirl. I don't think it's going to happen this year, to be honest. I don't see it happening just because of logistics. The only way they would be able to regulate that is if the teams themselves are the only ones selling the tickets. They can't regulate social distancing with like StubHub and stuff like that. The way I see it, if they say there's a party of 4 can buy tickets, or maybe a party of 12. If you're all coming together, you can sit in the same section, same row, whatever. But if you were to sell that on StubHub, that could be 4 different families coming in. 3 to 4 different families coming in, and they're all sitting together. There's no distancing. And, you could get security to split people up, but I don't see that working. That's why I don't see fans in the stadium this year. Unfortunately, Wilson and I were looking forward to going to a lot of baseball games this year, but not going to happen this year, I don't think. Hopefully things settle down and we can get back a little bit closer to normal next year, and we can hit up some spring training games, go to some D-backs games, things like that. But in the meantime, we're going to have live baseball. We're going to have live Major League Baseball at a regular hour of the day. We don't have to wake up early in the morning or watch basically tape delayed or replayed games from Korea, which, as much as I love watching KBO replays, it's not live Major League Baseball. So we got that to look forward to, and it's going to be a ton of fun. Now, I mentioned Toronto. Let's talk about the Blue Jays for a minute. So they've been training at Rogers Center, okay? That's what's been going on there. Everybody's, like I said, has been training in their home stadiums for a while now. The Blue Jays were allowed to train at Rogers Center. But part of the stipulation was that they had to quarantine. They've had to stay at Rogers Center, which is, we mentioned this last week, it's a little bit easier for them. There's a hotel in Rogers Center, which, by the way, at least a night in that hotel, bucket list, put it on there. That just seems like an awesome experience. But anyways, so they've been able to stay in that hotel and quarantine, haven't left anywhere, done anything. But then the Canadian government came down and said, well, we've got a 14-day quarantine order for anybody coming in from outside the country. How are you going to do that? And so it was it was a little murky there for a little bit, and then they got a, I guess, a waiver or something that said you don't need to worry about it. Everybody's pretty much playing by the same rules here. It's fine. And that was from Toronto. That was from the municipal government. Let me read you exactly. I'm taking this from the Score. This is something that I read on the Score about this situation. So it said, the Blue Jays received the green light to host games from the municipal and provincial governments, but needed the federal government to approve an exemption for Canada's Quarantine Act, which requires any person entering the country for non-essential reasons to self-isolate for 14 days. So they got the exemption. However, so they got the exemption, and it looked like the Blue Jays were going to be able to play at Rogers Centre. That's what the news came down this week. Hooray! And then, just within a day or two, it's Saturday, July 18th. Within a day or two, the Canadian government comes down and says, nope, we're not going to give an exemption. We're not going to let you play games at Rogers Centre because of the logistics of bringing in teams from the U.S. So they're out again. Well, when the first order was given that they weren't able to play their games in Toronto, the Blue Jays were looking at playing in Buffalo, which is pretty close. I'm not sure. I don't know. I'm not real familiar with my geography in that part of the country, I'll be honest with you. But I do believe they're relatively close to one another. I don't know if that's going to happen. I haven't seen anything since they were exploring it, quote unquote. But that's something to keep your eye on even this week. This week, with this season starting, the Blue Jays are going to have to find somewhere to play their games because the Canadian government denied their exemption. So keep your eyes on that. And I'm sure, I don't know, I'll try to give an update maybe on Twitter or the Facebook group as it comes through, and I'm sure somebody will as well. So some interesting stuff going on there with the Blue Jays. Good team to watch. Well, fun team to watch right now, but also some interesting circumstances. Okay. Another thing we've talked about before on the podcast a couple times, actually. We've got A-Rod and J-Lo again looking to buy the Mets. Now, this time, they've put together a group of current and former athletes who would like to be part of an ownership group. This group includes Travis Kelce of the Kansas City Chiefs, Brian Urlacher, former linebacker for the Chicago Bears, Bradley Beal, who is a current guard for the Washington Wizards, DeMarco Murray, former NFL running back, and let's see, we got Joe Thomas, who I believe was a lineman for the Cleveland Browns, and Mason Plumlee, who is an NBA journeyman. Now, while this is all well and good, you've got a bunch of guys who played professional sports, and they're going to go be owners. Okay. More relatable for the players, that's fine. But this is the thing to think about with this. As much money as A-Rod and J-Lo have together, and all of these athletes, Bradley Beal has a massive contract in the NBA. Brian Urlacher is a Hall of Fame linebacker. He made a ton of money in the NFL, but he was a defensive player at the same time. Travis Kelce, one of the highest paid tight ends in the NFL because he's a star. All those guys together, if that group were to buy the Mets, no, that would be the poorest team in Major League Baseball. I'm certain of it. Because that group together, yes, they can afford to buy the Mets at like $1.7 billion or something like that. Okay, you've got the capital in that aspect. But how are you going to pay your team? In a non-salary cap league, you can't afford to be at the bare minimum. They won't be competitive. Okay, maybe they'll be a little more player-friendly, but at the same time, they're not going to be competitive. And this, I think, is why A-Rod, and obviously getting into the owner's booth, has said that he wants a salary cap. So, coming from the guy who signed the largest North American sports contract in history at the time, when he signed with the Texas Rangers, now the guy says he wants a salary cap. Of course, it's because he's an owner. But at the same time, I feel like it's because they are going to be one of the poorest ownership groups. One of the absolute poorest ownership groups in the entire MLB. It doesn't make sense for this to go through. I can't see them getting approved saying, okay, yeah, you've put together the money and then you can also pay your players, because the math doesn't work out to me. that, yeah, you have all these guys who add up to having a bunch of money, but you've got to have a billionaire in there who can pay the players, because you've got to have the payroll, and I don't see that group having the payroll, and I don't think it's going to work out. But I don't know. Good on A-Rod and J-Lo for trying again to get into into MLB as owners, and we'll see how it plays out. But I don't see it happening, because I don't think that they'll be able to get it done. Anyways, okay, moving on. Something fantastic happened this week. Absolutely amazing. This guy, Chico, he is a clubby or a clubhouse attendant for the LA Dodgers. They've got him, the Dodgers have him out playing in left field, just filling space, and he has made 2 spectacular plays. He made 2 amazing plays this week. One, he robbed Mookie Betts of extra bases when, took him back to the track, robbed him of a double, and then because it's the clubby out there in left field, I didn't get a chance to see who it was who ran from first, but whoever it was ran from first, went all the way around second, had to go backtrack his steps to tag at first or get back to the base. Chico gunned him down from the warning track, got it, doubled up, whoever it was, I can't remember, didn't see, but doubled him up on first base. Absolutely amazing. And you would think, oh, it's a win for the everyman, but Chico obviously is not the everyman. Brig and I were talking about this, and the only thing I can think of is the dude just cannot hit. That's one thing we talked about, that if he can't hit his way out of a wet paper bag, that's why he's not playing professional baseball, because he has got a hose on him. That Chico can throw the ball. It's amazing. It's so fun to watch. It's cool to see a guy like a clubby out there hanging defensively with these guys. It's awesome. It's fun to see. But hey, baseball family, let's take a quick break, and when we get back, we're going to do our weekly KBO update.
Take me out to the ball game. Take me out to the crowd. Buy me some peanuts and Cracker Jacks. I don't care if I never get back with me. Root, root, root for the home team. If they don't win, it's a shame, for it's 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out at the old ball game.
Shop kids' baseball shirts at 9pluss.com.
Welcome back, baseball family. Let's talk KBO. I said last segment that I'm looking forward to MLB because it's live baseball at a reasonable hour, which is true. That's part of the reason I'm looking forward to MLB. And like I said, it's MLB. It's the best baseball in the world. But at the same time, I am still in love with the KBO. I am infatuated. In fact, I'm having a ton of fun watching it. It's a good time. And partially because the team that I chose, Brig and I chose at the beginning of the season, independently for separate reasons, the NC Dinos is the best team. It's the best team in the KBO. And I've said it before, but it's fun to watch your team win. That's not something I've really gotten to experience a whole lot with the Mariners over the last, 18 seasons. It's been a while. And yeah, they've been in the race a little bit. But anyways, it hasn't been even when they were winning a little bit, they were not dominant. And the Dinos are dominant. However, that being said, not lately. The last week has been less than stellar for the for the NC Dinos in the KBO. Last week on the podcast we talked about how there had not been any ties to date. Well, you go say it, and sure enough, there's a tie. The Dinos and the LG Twins, not 6 hours after Brig and I talked about that on the podcast, tied with the LG Twins 6-6. And then they go and let's see here. They lost to the Kiwoom Heroes twice. Thank you very much. There was their first 3-game winless streak of the season. They say winless because they lost 2, tied 1. So you can't say losing streak because they didn't lose all those games. But, a lot of people say a loss is as good as a tie, but the standings say otherwise. Anyway, let's move on. And then they go on, they beat the Kiwoom Heroes 9-1 on Thursday, but then, you guys, on Friday, they go tie the KT Wiz 3-3. Man, what a rough week for the Dinos. And I know it's a long season. It's 144 games. I'm not too worried about because Saturday today went on and beat the KT Wiz 6-1. But my Dinos have got to figure out that pitching situation. Starting pitching is pretty good, but man, that bullpen is just so bad, and I feel like it's starting to catch up to them. But the offense is there. Been a little bit sleepy this week. I'm not worried. I'm confident things will pick back up and they'll still be able to win. As of tonight, this is Saturday, like I said, the 18th. Still on top of the KBO, 5.5 up on the Doosan Bears, 5.5 up on the Kiwoom Heroes, which is pretty good considering you dropped a couple, you tied. It's still pretty good to have that 5.5 game cushion over the Heroes. 8.5 over the Kia Tigers, and then 9 over LG Twins. So still sitting pretty good in those standings. I'm happy with it. I'm excited about it. And that's all I got for this week's basically NC Dinos update. That's pretty much what the KBO updates become. So let's go ahead and take a quick break. And when we get back, I'm going to share with you my 3 things I would like to see from this MLB season. Welcome back, baseball family. Before we get in and we wrap this thing up, let's talk about 3 things that I want to see this MLB season. Okay, let's get right into it. Number 3, I want to see more base running. Run the bases, stolen bases, hit and run. You talk about take the extra base, but in MLB, you're more likely to get gunned down than you are in any other league in the world. So you can have that, okay, guys? You can have the conservative base running when you don't want to take the extra base. But steal bases, let's go hit and run. And the reason is because, I understand, you can hit a whole bunch of home runs and win the regular season. You can win your division. You can go into the playoffs and play really well still, but you may not win. However, 60-game sprint runs are going to be at a premium. You're going to want to win every single game. There's none of this back in May when you can say, oh, you know what? It's just one game. We'll make it up next week, where we win a game where we shouldn't. No, there's none of that in 60 games. In fact, speaking of that, I believe it was Jason D'Agostino, who we had on the podcast last week, posted on the Facebook VIP group. It was a video. It was plays that play at the end of the game, and one of them I specifically remembered is actually the screenshot that showed before you clicked the link on YouTube. The Mariners playing the Tigers in Seattle. It was May. I want to say it was 2014, I believe. It was May or June. I don't remember the exact date. I just remember it was early in the season, and it was Justin Smoke was playing first base with the Mariners. This is before he went on to be an all-star with the Blue Jays. So on first base, you got Tigers up 1 run, and there's a ball hit into right field. Smoke, big dude, lumbering, not very fast. He's going around. He's trying to score from first, which it was a ball into the right field corner. That's fine, but not if you're Justin Smoke. Tagged out at home, ball game over. I was livid for 2 or 3 days. I was so mad that they didn't pinch run for Smoke. It's okay, I don't care if it's May or June. You're Seattle. You're not going to be running away with the division. You're not going to be running away with the wild card. You need every run you can get. You need every win you can get. So pinch run for Smoke. Get in there. Tie the ball game back up. So I'd like to see more of that. More aggressive base running out of teams. Pinch run for guys who you don't think you're going to be able to score in a situation where you need to run. Get every single run. Get guys into scoring position, which is something I think we're going to see with this weird extra inning thing we're doing this year. Going to start with a guy on second base. And that's going to mean more small ball in extra innings because you can easily, with that guy on second base, nobody outs, bunt him over to third, sac fly into center, left or center, whatever. you got to run already. And especially if you're the home team, that's ball game over. Go home, come back, play tomorrow. I want teams to be moving guys up, playing small ball with more base running in order to get those runs they need to get that win. You got to win every game. Win as many games as you can in a 60-game season. Second thing I want to see some robot umps. When they first talked about the season being shortened and some new rules and some changes coming in this season, they mentioned that they were thinking about testing robot umps. And I thought, fantastic. What better time to do it than in a season that's a little bit messed up already? And you've got 60 games. 60 games to bring in robot umps. And you've already had 11 umpires as of Saturday when I'm recording. 11 umpires opted out of the season. So you're a little bit short already anyway. And I maintain that robot umps are not taking anybody's job. It's creating jobs. I don't I don't see why they're so opposed to it. If you can have a tool that can help you do your job, and I know a lot of umpires think that everybody's there to see them because that's the way it used to be. Mark Twain used to umpire games, and people would come see Mark Twain, call games and everything, rather than watch what was on the field. But that's not the case anymore. People are watching to see the players. If you can minimize the effect that an umpire has on the game and minimize an ego, you see some umpires that have an ego and they will ring a guy up because they're not happy with him. You've got to have consistency, and I've been saying this forever. Why not test it out this season? It's a season it's not lost, but it's already going to be it's going to be known as the COVID season or the coronavirus season because it's so short. 60 games, that's way less than half. It's almost a third of what they normally play. So bring in the robot umps. Let's have some consistency. Let's try it out, see how it goes. And if it doesn't work out, fine. You scrap it in a weird season. That's no big deal. If it works great, then look into implementing it full time. Like I said, it's going to create a job. It's going to have an extra umpire in the box who reads the printout. So I don't understand why the umpires are. I don't know. It seems like it would help everybody. It'd help the umpire union. It'd help everybody top to bottom. So let's bring them in. Last thing I want to see. The third thing I want to see this weird, like I said, weird coronavirus season. I just want to see a World Series. I just want to see a full World Series. Because that means we were able to make it to the end. I want to be able to get through this season. I don't want it to be a lost season because there were outbreaks in clubhouses, which then spread across the league. I want MLB to figure out how to keep these guys healthy and safe. They've already done a pretty good job that we've seen with, as last week it was 1.8% of tests came back positive was all. Get it down just to be safe. You don't want any of these guys getting sick to begin with, but if it's going to happen, minimize it. Keep getting that number lower and lower, and let's make sure we get through all the way through the season. That's all we want to see. I honestly do not care who wins. I'll give them just as much credit as I gave the Nats last year for winning. Not the Astros because, there's that whole thing. But I'll give them just as much credit as we gave the Nats last year for winning because I don't care if you're the best team for a 60-game sprint. Everybody plays the same amount of games. Everybody's playing the same number of days. Everybody has the equal chance to win. If you can be the best team in a 60-game sprint and then a regular playoff format, good on you. Good for you. If that means the Royals or the Padres or the Blue Jays or even the Orioles go on to win the World Series because they were the best team through a 60-game sprint and then they won through the playoffs to the World Series, good for them. Good for them. I don't care. I don't care who wins. I'd love to see the Mariners win, obviously, or the D-backs, as you can see with my Arizona Baseball Together t-shirt. But let's just get through the World Series. Let's have a complete season, get through this year, and then work on getting everything right so we can have a full season next year. Get to spring training on time. Get to the regular season on time. Get through without any hiccups, and then get through to another World Series next year. Let's just get this season through to completion 100%. That is the third thing I want to see. Should have put it at the top of the list because I feel like that's the most important. Absolutely most important. That's what we want to see. But baseball family, share with me your 3 things that you would like to see this year. I'm curious. I want to know what you guys want to see. Am I way out in left field with robot umps? Briggs not here to yell at me, so I kind of thought I could get away with that one. But do you just want to see a World Series? Is that all you want to see? The one thing, World Series, just get through the season. Is all you care about? Let me know if there's something else you think about. You can reach out on Twitter at baseball2gether, baseball together on Twitter, at baseball together on Instagram. You can message us on YouTube. Come see us in the Facebook group 9+Us VIP. Send us a request. We'll add you, and then you can also send us a message in the mailbag. There's always a link in the doobly-doo for every single episode, YouTube, audio, however you get the podcast. There's always a link to the mailbag. Send us your questions. Let us know what you think. If there's anything you want us to talk about or you just want to say hi, go ahead and send us a message in the mailbag, and we'll give you a shout-out on the podcast. But before you do any of that, go hop on the shop. Tonight I've got on my Pirate baseball hat. I love this hat. I wear it all the time. It just looks so sharp, black and white, really crisp. Like I said, my Arizona Baseball Together t-shirt. I love the Sedona red and the Vegas gold. It looks so good on the black. It's one of my favorite shirts. I wear it all the time. I probably wear it way too much, like 2-3 times a week. But anyways, that's what I do. So go hop on the shop, NINEPLUSUS.com, 9plusus.com, spell it out. Go shop. We've got your Corona masks. If you're somewhere where you have to have a mask when you go out, go ahead and get yourself a mask. We've got some pretty cool designs. We've even got the Corona Pirates on one of the masks, so go check that out. But baseball family, don't forget to like, subscribe, rate, and review the podcast. Tell your friends about us, and baseball family, we'll catch you next week.